Business practices. Unlawful business practices also take away rights. You shall not deal dishonestly or falsely with others when you buy or sell. Dealing falsely is to mislead, to deceive. This one's not very hard to get. This is basically fraud in business. We shouldn't do it personally, and we shouldn't do it in business. You shall not use unjust weights and measures. This is similar to what we just talked about, but in business, we're supposed to use a just weight and a just measure. Money is to be paid to the workman at the end of every day. Now, you can probably waive that. I get paid monthly. I don't think that's sin. If I choose to waive it in the contract, that's okay. But we should get our money every day. We did the work, we should get it. That's what God's law says. And the way I would construe it is it's on the worker. If they choose to waive it, I don't think there's any sin or any crime as long as they waived it. When you sell to your neighbor or buy from your neighbor, you shall not oppress one another. What is oppression? Oppress is yana, which means to rage or be violent, by implication to suppress or to maltreat. It's to tyrannize in modern law. One who having public authority uses it unlawfully to tyrannize over another, as if he keep him in prison until he shall do something which he is not lawfully bound to do. Okay, I would look at this not just as fraud, but more of extortion. Forcing someone in a business practice, or in forcing someone to pay or buy something. It would be like organized crime today. You shall not demand as collateral a man's livelihood, so no man shall take the nether or the upper millstone to pledge. So the millstone, tools, sewing machine, a tractor, all these are what people earn their living with. That cannot be collateral or be given as a pledge. If this is my livelihood and I'm getting a loan and you take my livelihood away, how am I going to pay the loan back? You see what I'm saying? That's what this is saying. If you take my tractor, and I work with tractors for a living, how am I going to pay the loan back if I have no tractor to make money to pay it back? That's what this is saying. So we're not to use these as collateral, because your livelihood is the only way to pay the debt back.
He's saying, how do you buy it? No. Because you need to get a loan to buy it.
Well, I personally believe we're better off saving up until we have the money to buy.
Amen.
That's just the way we should do it. We used to do it. It wasn't a foreign concept to us until recently. But the next one says the creditor must not forcibly take his collateral. Okay, so it's not my job to go forcibly take it back. They're supposed to willingly give it. And the reason why, I think, is God said, avenge not yourselves, vengeance is His. If someone's going to defraud me, okay, I'm just going to let God take care of it. It doesn't need to come to violence. Yeah, and it's not worth violence. Who wants to get hurt over it? But we shouldn't be doing business deals that are going to, make or break us. It should be something that if I lost this, I should be okay without it still. But God wants us to let Him be our vengeance. And He has a legal system to use, and the ultimate authority is Him. He will take care of it if He needs to. That's the way I would construe this. You shall not delay a poor man his pledge. So if he's poor, you've got to return it before the sun goes down, is what it says. In any case, thou shalt deliver him the pledge again when the sun goes down. So he has a right to it. You need to return it. That was talking about his raiment, his clothing, not something from his livelihood. He has the right to sleep in his own whatever he has. If he's poor, which means he doesn't have much, but just, the example given, I think, was he may sleep in his own raiment. Now, his clothing isn't what he's making a living with. But the man needs to be comfortable. If that's all he's got, that's all he's got. You take the collateral that's lawful. It's not his livelihood. But you give it back if necessary. But you have the property right. It's not your property. It's not an item. But you have the right to it. But because he's poor, you let him keep it. Just for his comfort. But you still have the right for it. It really makes sense when you think about it. We should treat people who are in need that way. It is. It makes sense. You shall not demand collateral from a widow. Again, that should just make sense. They're not going to have much of a means to pay it back. Or they're going to have need. And you are to keep all contracts, oaths, and vows. And that leads us into the next one, which is contracts, oaths, and vows.